function in the sense that as people make more money and as they spend more money, the costs go up. Most importantly, the idea that profits are radically high in health services is not true. Profits in health services are actually lower than in many other areas of the American economy.
Dude, I hate this shit. By the way, ambulatory healthcare services are higher than hospitals, nursing, and residential care facilities. But I hate this. I don't care. There should be no profits. That's it. What do you mean profits are not high enough? You die if you don't get it. It's so stupid. Oh man, I'm so sad how fucking low the profits are for the healthcare industry. Okay. Let the goddamn government handle it then, bitch. What the fuck is this argument? What is this argument?
So if you look at hospitals and nursing and residential care facilities, the profits are somewhere in the neighborhood of 2% to 5%, somewhere in that neighborhood. If you look at construction, they're way higher than that. Profits are really, really high in manufacturing, for example, but they're not particularly high in the healthcare industry, again, because of regulation and subsidization. So why exactly is it that we spend so much money?
Oh, he's saying profits are not high for healthcare because of regulation and subsidization. Ben's advocacy is to fucking make it even more costly. If left up to Ben, he doesn't even want fucking regulation. Not entirely certain how subsidization is actually making profits low, but also doesn't entirely make sense because, yes, for example, United Healthcare's profit margins are 6%. This is profit margins, okay? These are profit margins. United Healthcare's profit margins are 6%. That's $33 billion in profit. $33 billion! What do you think has a higher profit margin? What I do as a Twitch streamer or United Healthcare? My profit margin is fucking insanely high. What do you think brings in more revenue overall? What a stupid fucking argument. United Healthcare alone is the 4th most profitable company. Yes. It deals in $500 billion in overall revenue. Just because this manufacturing as an industry is above all this other shit does not mean that, like, you know, manufacturing as an entire sector is raking in trillions of fucking dollars in profit in the same way that healthcare is. Just because the profit rate is low doesn't mean that they're not making a shit ton of money. Also, one thing to remember always is profits are a fucking stupid way of looking at this because companies are incentivized to keep profit rates low anyway. Their jobs are to still, like, executive compensation is before profits come in. Like all of this other shit that they're buying, mergers and acquisitions, all of that, stock buybacks, these are before profits. So just because a company's profit margins are low doesn't mean that it could not have been higher year over year. Also, this isn't even insurance. This is just hospitals and nursing and residential care facilities, which Ogre is right. I didn't even fucking realize. This is not even health insurance. But health insurance is there. It's at 6%. For United Healthcare, it's at 6%. That's what their profit margin is. Yeah, United paid out $10 billion in dividends last year alone, which isn't calculated in profits.
Industry, again, because of regulation and subsidization. So why exactly is it that we spend so much money, but we get so little input in terms of our health expectancy rising, our life expectancy rising? Well, number one, there is in fact a law of diminishing returns when it comes to healthcare spending. It's true across countries. At a certain point, a massive increase in healthcare spending only leads to a marginal increase in life expectancy. And this is not just true of the United States, it's true literally everywhere. So for example, the cross-sectional relationship in terms of how much you spend on care and the outcome is totally flat. So the life expectancy in, for example, Israel and Luxembourg is totally the same, but the health expenditure per capita is wildly different. So Israel is spending about $2,500 health expenditure per capita, and the life expectancy in Israel is...
Wait, where's America on this list? Where's America on this list? Also, this is from 2011. Maybe it's not from 2011. It's from 2011 dollars.
About 82 and a half years. Same exact life expectancy in Luxembourg, except they're spending $6,500 per capita. Because it turns out, no matter what you do with medicine, you simply can't prolong life beyond a certain point on average. So what's the big problem in the United States?
Oh, okay, great. Then we should pay less then. Don't you like efficiency? That's why we have the life expectancy and good health metric.
Why does the United States have a lower life expectancy? Well, there are a bunch of reasons, but the biggest reasons are we do a lot of drugs, we're really fat, and we drive badly. Those would be the...
No, it's car-dependent infrastructure. It is, opiates are a problem for sure. Opiate deaths are that rob people of their lives, cause people to have their lives cut short. And yes, our bad food habits, our bad consumption habits also play a big role. It's not because we drive badly. It's because we don't have fucking adequate public transit, dumbass. Something that you advocate against all day, every day. Americans have an incredibly fucking car-reliant infrastructure. We don't have any public transit. We don't have walkable cities. And also, notice how Ben didn't mention another thing? Interpersonal violence. Why is that red one so large in comparison to all these other countries? It's because of gun violence! It's because of guns, Ben! It's because of guns! People are committing suicide with guns! People are dying in mass shootings! There's a lot of gun violence in this fucking country!
The big reasons. We lose in the United States about a year and a half.
Americans also have an insane level of drinking and driving. No, dog. It's because there's no other fucking transit. That's the whole point. That's what I mean. Car-reliant infrastructure understandably causes more vehicular manslaughter. Because when there's no alternative, when there's no fucking car, when there's no bus you can take, when there's no train you can take, you drive. And when you drive and you spend more time driving, you have a higher likelihood of, getting in a car accident. You're just restating the point from another angle, dog. Oh my God. Ben's angle on this issue is busted. Okay? Ben's angle on this issue is completely broken. Yeah, we also have these like big ass militarized American vehicles that are more dangerous too, where you can't see children under the hood because it's so fucking high. Ben looks at this graph and says, it's because Americans are making wrong choices. They're individually driving poorly, and they're individually choosing to be fat, and they're individually choosing to do drugs. That's the problem. Ben is looking at systemic failure and reducing it down to individual responsibility. This is an idiotic way to try and approach any problem whatsoever. Because how do you instill individual responsibility upon every single individual? You do it through regulation. You do it through laws. That's why we have seatbelt laws, for example. The notion that this is all caused by 300 million individuals individually choosing to be fucking fat and driving poorly is idiotic. What is it? The Canadian mind is just simply better than the American mind? Is that what it is? Is it because people in Finland, people in Belgium simply are just like more brilliant than the average American, that they're making the right choices? No, it's because their society is structured with more competent governance that has people's welfare in mind. It's so stupid thinking the American skull is shaped differently, you know? Ultimately, reducing everything down to the individual responsibility means that there is some sort of genetic predisposition that the American mind has, and it's not something you can solve through some kind of like regulation. It's fucking stupid.
In life expectancy on average through drugs, car accidents, and violence, and we happen to be really fat. Okay, we have a huge diet metabolic problem in the United States. In fact, it has
surely it can be both. No, guys, I mean, I'm not even going to entertain that as a joke. Okay, yes, American culture is hyper violent, hyper individualistic, certainly, but when we're looking at problems, systemic problems, and problems that obviously require systemic solutions, you can't just fucking deflect the attention away down to the individual. Okay? I'll give you an example. The one that I used already, vehicular manslaughter, car accidents. Okay? Let's say you want to take public transit to work. How are you going to do that? In a city like Los Angeles, how are you going to do that? It doesn't exist. What do? Let's say you want to walk somewhere. Well, the cities are not walkable because there's no public transit, so there's no need for sidewalks. There's no need for walkability. So what do? Do you walk on the side of the road? Okay, now you got killed by a fucking guy. You're a part of the fucking vehicular manslaughter statistic now. Good job. You cannot individually fix this problem if the systems are fundamentally broken. Okay? That's it.
Almost a 6-year decrease in life expectancy in the United States, thanks to diet and metabolic, because we're real fat in the United States. Okay, so none of this is to ignore the problems in the healthcare system.
Like the idea, this is Ben just like shitting on Americans across the board. This is the most anti-American thing you can say, by the way. And it's kind of funny that, like, supposedly these patriotic fucking dipshits get away with saying it all the time. That Americans are just, like, stupider, fatter, dumber than the average European. Is that what you're saying? Or are they just victims of circumstance? They exist in America. Like, I know I joke about Amerifats and AmeriKKK or whatever the fuck. But, like, ultimately, I do recognize that most people cannot overcome the structures that bind them, okay? That's it. So Ben is just simply saying Americans are just too stupid. They just eat like shit. They're fucking dumb. They're stupid. What a ridiculous statement.
It is to point out that whenever anyone suggests that there are easy solutions and they are only barred by the evil of greedy health insurance companies, they are lying. It is not true. It is over.
I mean, it would be an easy solution if people like you weren't so resistant to it and desperately trying to fucking delude people into thinking that it's somehow their own fault, their own personal fault.
Overtly false. Okay, that's true whether the shooter is saying it while murdering somebody. The alleged shooter is saying that while murdering somebody. It is also true whether you are a comedian or a political commentator. So this brings us to Bill Burr. So I have to say, Bill Burr is an... Okay, so Bill Burr, I used to really enjoy his work. I mean, on occasion, I still enjoy his work. He's a comedian, which means he's very hit or miss. His Red Rock special, for example, hilarious. I'm such a Bill Burr fan that I actually bought a ticket for me and my wife and 2 of our friends to go see Bill Burr at the Hard Rock Casino down here in Hollywood, Florida. And I have to say, it was one of the worst shows I ever saw in my life.
He's woke. Let me guess. He's woke. Bill Burr has become woke. Folks, I used to be a fan of Bill Burr, but then I found out he got hit with a woke ray. Wokeism.
because he got up there, and Bill Burr has become woked. He has become woked, I assume, because his wife is very much on the left. Over time, I think he became embarrassed.
Wait, his wife? What do you mean by that, Ben? What do you mean his wife? The lovely Nia! Let's look it up. Oh, that's what he means. Oh, so that's what Ben means when he says his wife. Okay. Weird, because they've been married since 2013, and I'm pretty sure the Red Rock special was way after that. It was only a couple years ago, as a matter of fact. So I don't know where the fuck he's coming from. Huh. Interesting.
That many people on the right thought he was very funny. And so he decided that he was going to start woking.
Yeah, Bill Burr. Bill Burr, picture with infamous leftist Patrice O'Neill. There he is, woking Bill Burr. There he is, wokeifying Bill Burr. Bill, get away from this man. He's gonna woke you. You're gonna get woked out.
It up. Well, Bill Burr is a disappointment, sort of like incognito mode on your computer, because they keep telling you that everything you do.
Wait, did he just do a fucking? Shut the fuck up. He just said some heinous racist shit, and then immediately sidestepped into an Express VPN ad. Are you fucking joking? There ain't no way, dog. He was like, Bill Burr's got a black wife. Also, Express VPN. God damn. God damn.
Pretty much all of us, that would be taxes. The October 15th deadline, it's passed. Are you prepared for what could come? Now he's with a parent and a lot of Hispanics and black people who live down here. He ended up totally disconnected from the audience. Early news.
Wait, what?
A lot of gay people like gay racists. Because his jokes were basically about how Floridians were a bunch of anti-gay racists. And Floridians were like, that's not true. There are a lot of gay people who live down here and a lot of Hispanics and black people who live down here. And in fact, the room is filled with Jews. Right? And so he actually got so frustrated, he ended up cutting his show early and walking off the stage. And the reason was he was totally disconnected from the audience. Well, that disconnect has continued. You'll remember that he appeared on Bill Maher's show where he declared solidarity with the pro-Hamas students on campus.
Bro, these are broadly popular positions, man. You can't just you can't just wish cast a different interpretation of all the things that people are looking at and going like, no, this is actually kind of fucked up. It's so funny. He's like, no, you don't understand. Everybody hates, everybody loves Israel. Everybody in America loves Israel. And you should kill people who protest against them. Yeah, Bill Burr also didn't declare solidarity. He literally says students have been historically right, so these guys are probably right too. It's so funny. Ben's entire shtick is just like being an annoying fucking loser who tries to tell you in many different words, in the nerdiest aesthetic possible, that like things will never be better. And you should stop focusing on trying to change the system and get mad at random gay people instead. And like, sure, there's a faucet of that kind of commentary out there. And I'm sure, you know, it's done him favors so far. But, turning around and shitting on Bill Burr, especially in this moment where he's like, obviously talking about why people feel resentful towards healthcare CEOs and whatnot, because, they're murderers themselves. It's like the fucking mob. It's correct. Perhaps that's the reason why he didn't play Bill Burr's clip.
Campus. And now he is proclaiming that he is very happy that CEOs are walking around in fear for their lives. Okay, now, you do get some extra points for being a comedian in today's day and age, meaning that we'll tend to give you some more leeway to say edgy things because you're trying to be funny. And it's not clear to me here that Bill Burr is attempting to be funny. This is just his actual political opinion. He's not saying anything funny or insightful here. Here is Bill Burr yesterday explaining that he is perfectly fine with CEOs having to live with full-time security because they fear they might be shot because, after all, they're murderers too.
Oh, my God. Oh, the poor CEOs. Oh, the poor CEOs. Good luck, Ben. Good luck on this endeavor. I'm sure you're gonna fucking really get your audience riled up. The poor CEOs, they're scared for their life. They should be able to kill people. I don't understand. What do the comments look like? No, they're fucking shitting on him. I feel like I'm being gaslit. He's suggesting that the CEO of the biggest healthcare insurance company in the U.S. has zero effect on anything around him. Invite Bill on your show, I dare you. It's absolutely rich when Ben says things like, just because you had a bad experience with a health insurance company, having a bad experience with a health insurance company isn't like a barista messing up your morning coffee and you hope to get a better one tomorrow. These bad experiences result in people losing their loved ones and being denied or prolonged life-saving medication and procedures. Hey, Ben, how are you going to get legislation changed when the very people who are responsible for changing legislation are being bought and paid for by pharma and insurance companies? This is a rich guy trying to say insurance companies are justified charging you thousands of dollars for a hospital visit. I agree with Bill Burr. As a former cancer patient, each chemotherapy session infusion bag I remember was $20,000 billed to insurance. Coverage for my husband's asthma inhaler was denied this month and for the first time ever. He's had the same script for 25 plus years. Too many ads. I don't even like watching Ben anymore. It's hard to keep track of the stories when he's dropping ads right in the middle of each story. How about putting the ads in between the stories instead? If our healthcare system works so well, why do so many people hate it? Love how you didn't show the full quote. The media is completely out of touch and is an insult to the American people and their lived experiences. Ben, the average working person has little to no voice in these systems. It is obvious. Dude, imagine how fucking right-wing normally YouTube comments are. And I'm willing to bet that a big chunk, these guys aren't fucking socialists going into the comments of Ben Shapiro to literally turn around and be like, oh, I'm actually a right-winger. Like, they're not lying. These are right-wingers. These are not just right-wingers. They're like annoying right-wingers. They're the type of right-wingers that go and get their notes from fucking Ben Shapiro. It's a real unique kind of right-winger. We have a hype train going, by the way. Speaking of ads and how annoying they are. Remember, I no longer serve ads, but you can still support the show by subscribing for $7 now, I think. Or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. You get one free Prime subscription a month. Also, Bill Burr's been talking about executing CEOs and hunting them down for years. Here it is.
They focus on. You know what I mean? There's a guy from Nestle that doesn't think water is a human right. I mean, that guy should be hunted down and shot. Yeah. Right? And they're going to sit and just talk about, talking about all the, I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, we got to get America back to work.
It's like, dude, this guy wants to own the rain. Can we do something about this guy? He was at Nestle. You're supposed to be happy, like making cocoa for people. And this guy's like going, well, people are running out of water. What if we owned all the water and we kept it under our place? And in the future, when everybody's, that's how you picture the guy talking. I want to own the water. I want to have it underneath my house. And just, I'll come to the door in a robe, slightly ajar. Right? Just a complete animal.
Just a complete animal. Yeah, Mr. Woke, dude. Yeah, it's Bill Burr that's woke. It's not Ben that's quote unquote woke in this situation, wokely scolding people for feeling some type of way about the way the current the way that the current insurance structure is so damaging to the average person's life. Oh.
I don't believe that Bill Burr holds the same standard for comedians. There's an argument that's been made by the left. It is a crap argument when made about comedians, and it's a crap argument when made about CEOs. The argument goes something like this on the left. People like Bill Burr mock the vulnerable. They mock the marginalized. And thus,
I shit on those people all the time. Whenever people come for Bill Burr, I tell them to shut the fuck up. This is part of the reason why. Because, once again, 1, he's a comedian. 2, he is a fucking asshole. 3, you don't have to agree with everything he says. But most people don't actually get up in their feelings about Bill Burr, which is ironic because you're getting in your feelings about Bill Burr right now. You're woke. You're a fucking SJW, Ben. Radlibs get mad about Bill Burr. Who gives a fuck? Fuck them. It's just noise.
thus they are a danger to the vulnerable and the marginalized. So presumably,
yeah, he's literally mad that Bill Burr isn't pro-Israel. Like, that's the most SJW branded shit you could do, dumbass. I can't believe it. Bill Burr wants Hamas students to kill me. Bill Burr is in support of student protesters that said what Israel is doing is wrong. How could you hurt Israel's feelings? Bill Burr, how could you hurt the CEO's feelings? What a bitch. Yeah. When you're a right winger, it's awesome because you literally your priorities are completely busted. It's just out of whack. Where you're like, no, it's not the underserved poor, okay, yearning for freedom. It's not those who are getting bombed into fucking bits by America's greatest ally, Israel, that are actually those who are marginalized. It's the fucking CEOs, and it's actually the fascist state of Israel. Those are the poor people that must be defended at all costs. It's the wealthiest people in society that we must protect. Fuck.
Bill Burr should have to live in fear of making a joke. Bill Burr should have to live in fear because he doesn't know who he's damaging. In any case, here is Bill Burr openly cheering the murder.
It took him 14 minutes to get to this fucking Bill Burr clip, by the way.
Of a United Health executive because he says CEOs should live in fear if they don't act in the way that he would have them act in a system that he has no fixes for, by the way.
You know, I think you don't like his fixes.
What's annoying me about this kid who killed this CEO is none of these news programs are talking about the incredible lack of empathy from the general public about this because of how these insurance companies treat people when they are at their most vulnerable, after we've all given them our money every month and now we finally need you and all you do is deny us. And then these and all of these things are taking the pictures of their CEOs off their websites. You know, I got to be honest with you, okay? I love that that CEOs are afraid right now. You should be. By and large, you're all a bunch of selfish, greedy pieces of shit, and a lot of you are mass murderers. You just don't pull the trigger. That's why it looks clean. That's why these people look, oh my God, oh, he was just, you know, walking into a hotel. It's like, okay, but what was his job? What did he do? What was the results of it?
Okay, Bill Burr is a piece of. Okay, well, what he is saying here is truly evil. He's truly evil. He's saying you should live in fear if you're the CEO of a company and that company does things that.
Dude, imagine posting this and then thinking this makes Bill Burr look bad and not you for criticizing this in the most annoying ways possible. Oh my God, I can't believe this very popular, beloved comedian is saying what like the overwhelming majority of American society believe. How dare he? These guys are so primed to hate CNN. So at least you should take your cues from fucking CNN. When you notice yourself making an argument that is identical to CNN, maybe you'll realize that you're out of touch. This is not any different than what CNN is saying, Ben. This isn't any different than what fucking New York Times is saying. Same shit when it comes to Israel too, by the way. Just remember, these guys, they're not so different.
Bill Burr deems to be bad things. Now, we have laws on the books, for example, that prevent things like fraud. Okay, we have laws on the books that prevent things like embezzlement. We have laws on.
Yeah, and they do a fantastic job. Oh, wait, no, they don't, because the structure is designed by rich people. The very fact that healthcare is for profit is already ridiculous to begin with. It is indicative that the system is a failure overall.
On the books that punish criminal activity. If you don't like the system, and many people don't, the proper response to that system would be legislation. In a democratic republic, the way that you fix problems is you have open discussions of the details of those problems, and then you try to craft regulatory or legal fixes. You do not.
Which I will stop every step of the way. If you ever suggest that something should change, I will tell you, you're wrong.
Not say that it is a good thing that CEOs should live in fear of their.
Yeah, everyone complaining about the shooting is top 3% of wealth in America. Straight up. Or a loyal servant of the interests of the top 1%.
Their lives because Bill Burr deems them morally inferior. Bill Burr doing his blue-collar class routine act is a bunch of horse. Bill Burr is worth $14 million, and he makes his money making crap movies for Netflix at this point.
You're richer than Bill Burr. Yeah, he's a rich guy who gets it. You're an even richer guy who doesn't. What's the argument? This is so funny whenever people are like, wow, the kid was from a rich family. Luigi was from a rich family. Isn't that crazy? It's like, okay, motherfucker, how rich are you? Like, what are we doing? What is this pocket watching? Like, this is something that I will never understand. Like, what is the expectation here? That he should shut the fuck up and defend the CEOs instead? Is that what it is? Is that what the argument is? I love it because, you know, for obvious reasons, I have a very deep and personal connection to this line of criticism because it's probably the one that I get every single fucking day. It's like, oh, you're rich. Why do you advocate for the poor? It's like, okay, I'm not black, but I advocate against anti-black racism. I'm not trans. I advocate against transphobia. I'm not a woman. I advocate against patriarchal constructs that harm women. I'm not getting an abortion anytime fucking soon, but I think women should have bodily autonomy. The fuck is this? Yeah. What is why do you bring this up? Why do you bring this up? Is it the expectation? Is it your expectation that I fucking stay in line? Is it your expectation that Bill Burr know his place and defend the interests of the wealthy then? It's so stupid. It's just a thing that literally hangs right there. There's no purpose for this statement. None whatsoever. It only makes sense. It only makes sense if you're wealthy and you're advocating for the interests of wealthy. In that sense, it does make sense. Okay? In that avenue, it makes sense. Like Ben Shapiro, who is even wealthier than both myself and Bill Burr combined times 10. And of course, as a very rich guy, he's advocating for the interests of the wealthy. As a CEO, he's advocating for other CEOs. But it doesn't make sense to bring this up about Bill Burr. Unless you're trying to say you're out of touch with the interests of the average person.
Again, this basic idea, if we're going to have a functioning country, you can't justify the murder of people who run their businesses legally in ways with which you disagree. It is one thing to disagree with them. You can call them whatever you want. When you start justifying them living in fear or suggesting maybe they should be murdered, I'm just wondering what the limiting principle here is. I'm wondering what it is. The alleged shooter in this case was echoing Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. The Unabomber suggested that if you were, for example, an oil executive, maybe you should be murdered. Because after all, there were externalities to the oil industry. Why not the banking industry? Why not? Maybe Bill Burr doesn't like the banks after all.
Ben, if I were you, I wouldn't be making this argument, big dog. I'm just being real. I'm keeping it $1.50. Because shit like this is not going to be read in the way that you want it to. You know? When you say stuff like that, not recognizing that the appetite that broader American society at this point has, because they're just holding on by a fucking thread, you know? Especially when previous members of your community have gone out and done hate crimes and shit. So there's at least a couple incidents that have already occurred. You've already agitated enough mass shootings. You don't want to say stuff like, you should probably be a little bit more careful and considerate about the way you talk about these things. I myself, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say, I do not condone what Ben Shapiro is saying. I condemn it.
That bank denied grandma her loan. So maybe Jamie Dimon should be tracked down and murdered. This kind of stuff is full stop evil. It is evil. I don't care what complaints you have with the health insurance company. The notion.
I can't believe Ben really just, wait, I got to run it back. Well, that was crazy.
You can't justify the murder of people who run their businesses legally in waving in fear or suggesting maybe they should be murdered. I'm just wondering what the limiting principle here is. I'm wondering what it is. The alleged shooter in this case was echoing Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. The Unabomber suggested that if you were, for example, an oil executive, maybe you should be murdered. Because after all, there were externalities to the oil industry. Why not the banking industry? Why not? Maybe Bill Burr doesn't like the banks after all. That bank denied grandma her loan. So maybe Jamie Dimon should be tracked down and murdered. This kind of stuff.
No, Ben, stop. Ben! Stop! That's crazy, man.
Of all violence. Unfortunately, it's not just Bill Burr. It is so many members of the elite of our society. The people who are fine living with private security.
Bro, you're elite. You're elite. You're elite. Shut the fuck
They make
up.
millions of dollars saying things on TV. It's not just Bill Burr here. Okay, that It is also Jimmy Kimmel. So Jimmy Kimmel last night decided that he would do an entire segment celebrating the good looks of.
Oh, it's so fucking lame. This is exactly the type of shit that these guys normally grab onto and rail against all the time. All the goddamn time, dude.